Artist does not need to sign a contract with a manager at the beginning in any way, shape or form. I'd say for the first 6 months it's about dating, it's about getting to know that person. Do you have this? Are you on the same page? Do you believe in the same ideas? Do you have the same vision? And then after 6 months, some managers will ask for a contract to be signed, some won't. It depends on who it is. But equally, I would always say the first year I would do a year contract and see how you get on after that year. And if after a year that contract goes well for that year and you feel like you're on the same page, then I would say that then a longer term contract is definitely something I would consider. For 6 months to a year, it's really about getting to know and making sure you're on the same page, so you're not running into a relationship that could end up being problematic. It has to be win-win for both parties, from the artist side of things and the manager side of things. So that's really important. So in the UK, it's very different to the US. So in the UK, we have 20% of net. In the US, it's 15% of gross. So they're just two different things. That's kind of how it normally works. You can be paid a wage. You can do that if you want. There's not really any kind of clear, building blocks. There are, in the sense of lawyers would say in the UK, 20% of net. In the US, it'd be 15% of gross. There are building blocks in that respect, but equally, you can make it whatever way you want to make it. And some really big managers will ask for 30%, depending on what they can bring to the party. But ultimately, it's about, finding something that is comfortable for both parties. Well, normally at the beginning, you rarely do take your 20% at the beginning anyway for the first year, because of the reality of the situation. There's just not enough money to take the money. But no, I always think there has to be that same model of 20%, unless there's no money there. If there's no money there, then it's like, well, of course the manager's not going to take it. But equally, you want to keep your manager valued as well. So it's kind of looking at and going, I guess really coldly, is the project working? Is the music working? And if it's having an ebb, have you got steps to get out of that ebb? And if you have got steps to get out of that ebb, then I guess the manager would be like, okay, I don't need the money right now because I know that we're going to get to that mountain and climb that mountain and get to the top of it in a year's time. So it's just, everything is always about being realistic and pragmatic, I think. Sometimes managers will invest in an artist's career, but sometimes they won't. It depends, because at the beginning of when you're managing, you invest so much time for free. So sometimes you can spend a whole year for no money and work so hard for a year for no money. I think as a manager, if you're going to invest, I think there's got to be a conversation there about potentially paying back in a different way than the gross or the net. It's about fairness, and if a manager is putting in £10,000, then that's a lot of money, and that maybe they should be looking at getting a cut of some of the copyright. I'm not saying a big cut, but certainly some small cut. But that's my own opinion. So at the end of the day, it's about fairness, right? So because you could go and sign a publishing deal and potentially get £10,000 or £20,000, and if a manager's giving you £10,000 for nothing, that's kind of a bit. That's very, very fair. So I wouldn't ever expect a manager to put money in the pot all the time. That's just not going to happen. Sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. So I think don't expect it, but expect that they will work hard. That's the most important thing. And they will try and find ways of bringing money into the pot. There are ebbs and flows in any relationship between artist and manager. There are always ebbs and flows. And certainly if the artist is doing well, then of course the manager might not feel like they can have hard conversations with the artist. And sometimes when it's not going well for the artist, they blame the manager. But I think the key is, as an artist and a manager, is always looking out and going, what is the reality of this? Not my ego's hurt and blaming the manager. Sometimes the manager they can't control the things that that they wish they could control. Now, if the manager's not cooperative and not communicative and not keeping a relationship with you, that's different, because then they're not invested. But if they are cooperative and they're finding ways forward, then it probably isn't the manager. It is probably a situation that can't be controlled. So you are going to have situations where there's ups and downs, but remember that actually the best managers will always be trying to find the best way forward for your success. And we'll always be talking about that with you and trying to make next steps.